So thank you for being here on this cold night.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's like one little family here, isn't it? So, and it's your first time, so it's nice. Yeah, tonight's talk is all about the third eye area of feelings and intuition, and this is about trust. This area here. So this is like the sixth chakra. It's what they call the third eye, and it's I've got the little chakra band here. This is this area here where your eyes are. And if we have a feeling that we don't trust ourselves or trust our life or anything that's going on around us, we tend to shut this down. Very sensitive people will have that shut. Quite a lot of therapists have that shut. And they say to me, well, why? If I'm really intuitive and I'm using that, I mean, why is it shut down? Well, it's because we take too much in. We walk into a room and we've got our intuition straight away saying, what's been going on here? What's the atmosphere like? You know, what vibe am I feeling? You know, and you're kind of looking at all of those things all at the same time. You're assessing. It's for survival we do it. We sort of assess things really quickly, just as a natural instinct. You know, that way we are safe, or we try to stay safe. So when we go into a place, or wherever we're going, especially a new place, this third eye area is working overtime. So it tends to get blocked. But most of the reasons why it shuts itself down is a lack of trust. And quite a lot of the things that are going on right now with all the coronavirus and everything else that's worrying everybody, people don't trust their judgment. They don't trust the public transport, etc., they don't trust anything. And all the things that are going on, as we were talking about earlier, with certain issues in this area, they don't trust the positive outcome. And so it's harder to trust when you don't see any evidence. But that's what shuts it down. And when it shuts down, you find that the imbalance in your body will show itself, because it can't flow. It will show itself to be headaches, eye strain, waking up at sort of in the middle of the night, perhaps 3:30, 4 o'clock. It upsets your hormones when this is upset. When this area here is shut, you wake up, you're a light sleeper. So your sleep's affected, your eyes are more sensitive to light. You know, you're more sensitive anyway in your mood, because it affects your hormones. Your pineal and hypothalamus, which is in your mind, in your brain, can be sort of upset if that's shut, because you perceive things in a more intense way. So this will definitely be a problem to those sensitive people. So if you find you need to wear sunglasses on a cloudy day, it's because you are feeling more sensitive, and that's because that's shut. So we have to change that. Now, what I talk about quite a lot is our subconscious is huge. It's 97%. Now, I keep talking about this because we don't know what's in there. We're only aware of 3% of what we're talking with. So here we are thinking, oh, we're fine. Of course I trust myself. I'm confident, I'm this, I'm that. But this little tiny area of 3% is the only evidence you've got for that, as you hear yourself saying or being confident on the outside. The inside, the subconscious, is causing, or could cause, the opposite effect. It can sabotage, can mess with you. And so there you are, confident on the outside, great, I'm going to do this job, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to paint that house, I'm going to do whatever you're putting yourself to do in the challenge. You think you can do it, yes, you're there, and then suddenly self-doubt comes in. And when you're self-doubt, well, when you've got that in your head, it immediately shuts this down. And the only evidence, as I say, is that you'll find you wake up in the night, you'll be more sensitive, and it's even sensitive to touch that area, actually. So even if you touch your forehead here, you think, oh, actually that is sensitive. So how do we keep it open? You know, we've got to, well, basically there's a lot of ways to do it. Trusting, if I said to you, you've just got to trust yourself. That won't be something you can naturally do if you've done it for a long time. If you've been in a pattern of thought, well, I need to see evidence of me getting it right before I trust myself. That's a pattern that we've formed in our mind, in our brain. And that's the synapses. So your thought pattern produces a pathway that becomes rigid. It becomes a habit. And what makes it worse is we don't know it's happening. It just happens all on its own, behind the scenes, if you like. Everything I talk about in all of my talks is all based on the book I'm writing, The Choice is Mine. And so you'll be able to read about that as well as listen to it on the website. But we have to have emotional tools in order to undo the damage that our subconscious could be creating. And the evidence is there when you mistrust yourself for a second and you've seen some evidence of what that happened. And well, I knew that was going to go wrong because I just knew that I wouldn't get that bit right. You've actually made that happen and you didn't realise it. I mean, it's setting, a bit like setting the intention. I had 2 phone calls to make today, and this was a really good example about believing in yourself and setting the intention, which is both in this area, okay? So the first phone call I made was to somebody related to work, related to teaching. I'd like to take some students to a certain place to work on animals. So I start the conversation, great, lovely, nice and friendly. And within a few seconds I realised very quickly that I was getting a very negative feedback. I was getting rejected and not understood and certainly not listened to. And I found myself thinking, I have to justify myself here in my application to try and help them. And I thought, this is really hard work. Now, I hadn't set the intention, but somewhere on the inside of my subconscious, I was thinking, they're not going to want you. They're going to think, oh no, they don't want you and your students running around. And so that thought must have been there because that's exactly what I received. And then I wondered why. So I just accepted it and put the phone down. I thought, that's very odd. And it was almost one excuse after another as to why she is definitely not interested. So I thought, okay, that's fine. So I'm always interested but not involved in what I see around me, because that way you can be more objective and you can find tools to get you through that and to change it. So the second phone call I had, I set the intention, and this was for someone to pick up some scrap metal that I wanted from the house. I wanted them to do it free of charge, of course. And I wanted them to do it willingly. I wouldn't let them down once with an item. So okay, I ring him up at this time. He's my best mate. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'm accepted, I'm loved, those differences, that feeling I gave was, of course it's going to be fine. It was a trust that I would get what I want from that situation. And it was just so easy to get that wrong and not realise why. You think it's the circumstances that are happening to you, but the vibe you give out from not trusting yourself, when you make those important phone calls or that email, you've got to set yourself up before you do it. You set yourself up, you're in a good place to achieve what you want. And all you've got to do is make sure you give out a feeling, you bring your balloon off the ground, if you like. Last time we had loads of balloons here. So I set the intention. He was going to be falling over himself. Well, it's exactly what I got. And anyone would think that, I was paying him loads of money for the way he behaved. He was so sweet. He was so kind. And that's because I expected him to be. Because that's how my vibe was. I'd be kind to anyone, and I expected him to be the same. So I didn't have any doubt that I'd be treated well. When we want something really important, and I'm looking at you because we've all got different things we really want for this world or for our families or for things we care about. We can't have doubt in the way. If we allow that, oh, but they're not going to, and what happens, this happened last time, and that family member doesn't do the right thing, and this is always the same way, we're caught in a trap of a habit that we don't realise is holding us back. And then creating more of it, because the vibe you have from that is going to give out to other people. They're going to treat you the way you expect them to be treated. Expect yourself to be treated better and trust it's going to come to you. It's not always easy. If I said don't think of an orange pig, whatever you do, don't you think of an orange pig, you're going to think of what I told you not to. So if I say you've just got to trust yourself, it's not that easy. But you can fool your subconscious. And if you do it enough, it becomes a new pattern, a new pathway, a new expectation. And it becomes interesting. If you can say to yourself, I'm interested but not involved. I'm interested but not involved in what I'm drawing to me. It puts you above the problem. I'm interested. Now why? What am I giving out here? It makes you more self-aware. It makes you understand that you're giving out something to your subconscious that's not working for you. And that's where it affects you in your eyes. That would be your little clue, really. If your eyes are sensitive one day, or they're dry, or they weep. Some people get weepy eyes in the morning. Anyone got anything with their eyes going on today? No? Well, it's like if you get sore, or if you find that people with contact lenses might say, well, I was all right yesterday, but not today. That is it. Or sinuses, that's a good one. If you get sinus problems, I used to always have sinus problems. I had so many operations and all sorts on them since I was a teenager. So for many, many years, I had sinus problems and sensitive eyes. So I thought, and I was even told I'd never be without infections, etc. from the doctors. But I never have a problem now, ever, because I make sure that this one's open. And I make sure it because I tell myself. The little leaflets I've got there to give out is I trust and believe in myself. Even if you don't believe that on a 3% conscious level, your subconscious is buying every single word and it believes you, just like a computer would believe. When you type into a computer, it doesn't say you're lying. You will feel you're lying when you say it, because quite a lot of the time we don't, even if we're confident. So it's worth keeping that bit open, because you need to be perceiving your world in the correct way, not in a biased, intense level. You know, we can't trust our feelings when they're distorted. And when our perceptions, we look at situations and we can easily get the wrong idea from situations. Our perception can be altered by our mood. Everyone knows that. If you're happy and you look out to your world, you see nice things. If you're unhappy or frustrated, your perception of the world is affected by your mood. And so you're helping yourself by saying you trust yourself. And keep reminding yourself of that and set the intention. Any challenge you have, you set the intention. We'll be getting to that as we go on. So I've got a little story to tell you about how this lady, she started to doubt herself. She was a lovely dancer, she was an old lady, and she told me of the story that when she was younger, she used to get on stage and run across the stage and throw herself into the arms of this man, and he'd leap her up into the air, and every night she could do this easily. Until one day she stood by the side of the stage, and she thought, how do I do that? How do I actually do that? Oh. And that one little thought was enough. So when she went across the stage, she leapt or tried to leap into his arms and couldn't do it. So because that one doubt had done it, it had undermined her ability. Has anybody here ever had that? Has anyone ever thought, right, I can do this? No, I can't. Yes, I can. And then it might be driving test. It might be you're a really good driver. You've learned really well. You go on your driving test. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Has anyone not? Who passed the test first time? That's 3 of you. So the rest, it's not that you couldn't drive. It might have been because you didn't believe you could. It might be a subconscious thing. So you accidentally get this bit wrong or that bit wrong. And it's not deliberate. We don't want to fail, do we? But that adds to more failing if we think, oh, well, I got that wrong once. I might get it wrong again. So has anyone got any examples where they tried something and thought, oh, and normally I get it right, and you haven't done it? Anyone got any examples? Well, Laureen was she was a very good example herself, because she never got it wrong again. Now, I'm a singer, as you know, as well, and I like singing lots of songs, and I used to think I had a really bad memory. And you get told that when you get older, your memory gets worse. So I just thought, no, I'm not having that. I used to have all the words of my songs on a little stand. And I thought, if I leave it just there, I can glance at it and I'll know when I'm coming in there and what words are coming up next. And 100 songs is what I have to learn. So that when it was because people can choose their songs and then I have to know them. So I thought, okay, I give out a song menu, you see. Anyway, I thought, my memory's going to be fantastic. I'm going to tell that 97% of my subconscious that my memory is great. And I'm thinking, yeah, I can't remember anything as it is, like little things. And, I got up the stairs and forget why I've gone up there. So I'm thinking, can I really trust that? Well, I thought, no, I'm going to trust the fact I'm programming. I'm programming in my mind. So I set the intention. I never have to look at the words. And the more energy I put into the feeling of not having to try very hard because I trust it, the easier it was. So I never have the words there. I stopped doing it. I put the book away. And I just believed that I could. And it has nothing to do with how much you've learned the words. Of course, what it is that you, once you program your mind, you learn something, a behaviour, whatever you're, how to paint a house, whatever. Once you've learned something and you know how to do it, you can trust yourself by the result. So I was able to trust myself. The more I did the songs without looking, and I just kept trusting, the better it was. So it's a bit like having a higher self who always gets it right. That part of you is in you. It's hiding in your subconscious. You know, I watched someone hypnotise a lady once in a crowd sort of situation, and she was a very timid little lady, and he hypnotised her and he told her that she was fantastic, she was an amazing dancer. In fact, she was a sexy pole dancer and she could do amazing moves. Well, this little timid lady turned into someone quite different. And she was magnificent. She was a work of art. Moving around, she was beautiful. And nobody could believe what they were looking at. Clicked his fingers again, she turned into that little mousy person she was. She'd forgotten that she has this ability inside her. She'd learned it as you go through life. Heaven knows how much she did, and she knew it. And she was surprised to hear that she was doing that dance without a care, with confidence and trust. Because you have all of that in your subconscious, massive area. And the only bit we have to work with is the 3%. Okay, and I have lots of evidence for this on my website. So there's a lovely guy, Bruce Lipton, I always talk about. He gives you evidence in lots of talks and books, etc. So it's nice to have a scientist who can show you exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I love that. So I told myself I have a fantastic memory. And I told myself it would be easy to remember all of the words. And of course it was. And I've never looked back. That was years ago. And if I learn a new song, I just go, of course I can remember it. I'm thinking, can I? I'll have to go over that. So you say it a few times. The more you say it, the more your brain believes you. So they reckon if you repeat an action 30 times, you've programmed it into a new pathway of thought. It makes you feel in control when you feel you have trust. It helps you to feel safe. And that's another thing, because when you feel safe, the main battery at the bottom of your spine will stay open. This is represented down here by the red area of that diagram. So you trust, you feel safe, you're more likely to feel courageous enough to try new things, to get out of your comfort zone, because you're not inhibited by self-doubt or what you failed with before. You see, that's the unfortunate pattern. If you're used to having this response from a person when you ring them up, or family member, or you're automatically expecting that behaviour. And that's just going to keep reinforcing it over and over again, like a dog chasing a tail. You're just going to keep attracting the same thing. Quite a lot of the time people feel, you know, that self-judgment can cause regret, can cause a feeling of being rejected. Those feelings have different effects on the body as well. All because we don't trust ourselves. So think to yourself, what is it I don't trust myself with? If you had a magic wand, what would you do? And then just think, okay, what would you change in your life? Would you travel somewhere? Would you, maybe not right this minute, and avoid things out, but would you can't if the companies are gone bust. But where would you go? You might try a new job. You might try to learn something that you didn't think you could learn. You might go on a course, you know. All those things you're holding yourself back with, unless you've got the courage to do it and the trust that you can. And that's worth investing in. So I mean, think about it. How many things haven't I got right because I thought I couldn't? And then you've got the answer there. It's programmed. And quite often we learn that from our parents as well, bless them. They don't know that they're giving you that kind of lesson. If they don't trust the world or economy or where they're living or the neighbours, or they're giving you that mistrust straight away, aren't they? Well, I'm not looking at anyone in particular, not at all. But how many times has it? I mean, it could be. Yeah. Exactly, that's a good example. Good example. Do you keep your door locked? I trust my neighbours. Yeah, but it's true. It can easily be, you know, we might not trust. When we go to certain big cities, if we've lived in a rural area, we go to big cities, we've got the defence on. You know, we're thinking, oh, can we trust that person living in muggers? Do you realise you're giving out a vibe? And the vibe is saying, I'm vulnerable here. They say to puff up when you go near a cash point you're trying to get money out of. They say puff up, put your shoulders back, act as if you're 6 foot tall and strong and no one's going to attack you. And that vibe you give out is enough to protect you. How many of us feel vulnerable in big cities or places where there's a possibility of violence, or we don't trust the environment? I'm not saying be silly or I don't know, not thinking about where you are, not taking responsibility for that, because you've got to look after yourself. But watch the vibe, because if you're thinking, I trust I'm always safe, the vibe you give out will probably help you to be so. I know lots of examples of where people just, feeling vulnerable will attract that in some way. Okay?
So bullying, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And think about, I was going to go back to school in that sort of essence as well. You must have read my mind. When you're a child, if you don't trust yourself to be enough, if you don't feel confident in that belief of who you are or what you can do, then yes, the vibe is small. We're the tiny, timid woman again, aren't we? And that teacher or that person might not understand you, or that the kids might not be attracted to you, or they might bully you. I myself was bullied such a lot at school. Most of my life, I hardly ever went to school actually, and it wasn't my fault, but it was a very big bullying situation. And how many people can sort of, most people have had some bullying, haven't they? Unless you're really lucky. And it's a good example of the vibe you give out, isn't it? Yeah. So, I've got a really interesting thing to tell you about. We were talking about children. I'll go back to that first. Children don't really understand their feelings when they're younger. They'll have a tummy ache when they're feeling upset or angry about something, or when they don't understand their feelings, it always goes to their tummy, doesn't it? They always go, I've got a bad tummy. And really what they mean is, they don't understand their feelings. And we kind of, sometimes when a feeling feels uncomfortable, we don't look at that feeling, because that feeling makes us feel bad. So we don't want to hold it up, or we don't want to look at it. Because, that makes me feel rotten, so I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to go and get busy over here. Or I'm not going to talk about that feeling. But this third eye area is all about feelings. So if you were to be brave enough to hold a feeling up and think, well, how do I feel? What am I feeling about that situation, or that person, or the family, or the work, or whatever? How do I really feel about that? What am I lacking? What am I not getting back from that situation? It could be respect, it could be, self-worth from it. It could be feeling valid but honoured or listened to. It could be any of that. Well, okay, I'm going to give it to myself. I'm going to pretend. I'm just going to give it to me, and I'm going to analyse that feeling. But I won't be dragged down by it. I'm going to say, okay, I'm interested. My reaction is, I might be expecting rejection like I was this morning. It was really funny. If I do a phone call, by the way, tomorrow, that would be completely different. It would be a different intention, same person. I've done that before many times. I've done that. The same person, if you set the intention, and I expect it differently, that's what I get. So it is a vibe you give out, and they can hear every single tone of that vibe, even on the phone. They reckon you've got to smile when you phone people up, because they can see the smile, and they react differently. But if you're feeling in a bad mood, you ring someone up, they're going to not like you either. They're going to not like the tone of your voice, So yeah, but children don't understand their feelings, so we try to help them with that. But some people, when they get older, from that child experience, they don't know. They're not used to holding that feeling up. They don't get encouraged. Not everyone gets the ability to talk through or understand their feelings. So we feel bad, but we don't know why. And then we hide that feeling. And we might come up with something that, isn't really us. We might argue with someone, but we haven't actually looked at why we want to argue with them in the first place. There's something wrong. What's wrong? I talk about the inner child quite a lot, but I also talk about, that's your inner feelings, your vulnerable feelings. I'll talk about the higher self, and that person, amazing. That is a person, like I told you, the lady that got hypnotised, is always there. That higher self did pass your test. That higher self got you through difficult situations, made you successful in some areas that you've been trying new things with. That higher self is responsible for everything you've ever got right. And what I like to do is I measure things like 1 to 10. How intense is this situation? How important is that situation to me? know that the subconscious is a bit like a pool, like a very deep pool, okay? And you think you've got clear water. And you get a situation where someone's got a stick and they do this. They stir the stick in the pool. And up comes all the muck from the bottom of the pond to the top, and now you can't see any water clear. It's just all murky. Well, everything I talk about is a bit like a filter for that pond. So when you've got a situation where something is really intense, or measuring over 5, 10 being the most intense, and it measures over 5, then you've got some issue there that you really need to give up to your higher self and trust her or him to be able to solve that situation. From that subconscious that we have no idea what's in, you have the solution inside you to be able to deal with everything that comes into your life. You've taken in a lot of information over your life, and it's so much in there that you don't tap into it, because we're not used to doing that. We're working with that 3%. So when you have a feeling, that's when you know you have to do something about it. A feeling, an uncomfortable feeling. Good feelings are great, but uncomfortable feelings, let's address them. Let's take that feeling and measure it. How intense is it? What can I give myself? Okay, I don't know. Well, higher self, you sort it. That trust you have in yourself is the same higher self that gets the words right when I'm doing something. Quite often I get to a song or I get to a point where I think, oh, what's the next word? I can't remember. Oh well, higher self will get it. Seconds later, there it is. And it's the same thing if you just give up that mistrust, give up that feeling of not being able to do something, and just lie to yourself. But just expect that that higher self is going to know everything you wanted to know. One of the things I like doing is self-counselling. So I do it in the car, or I sit, or in front of the mirror. It's quite a nice one. We're going to play a little bit with this later, but it's about recognising that if you could just believe me that you do have the answers to everything that you think is a challenge right now. Every one of you sitting here knows the answers like your own best friend. When we've got a problem, we pick the phone up and we talk to a friend and we think we feel better. Well, we've offloaded and we might say a few things that we can hear ourselves saying, which would be good because then we might be able to have some action from that. We might get validation from that friend, but it won't be as good as when you self-counsel. Because you know yourself more than anyone knows you. You know all your experiences, all your feelings, and why you behave or do whatever you do. So you validate yourself when you look in the mirror and you say, how are you feeling? You know, what can I give you? What can your higher self solve for you? What can she solve? Well, I need this job done. I need that job done. If it measures over 5 and it's a really strong need, you know, get her to do it, or him to do it. Higher self, trusting your higher self. It's setting the intention to trust that whatever's in the bottom of that pond is going to be able to come up, that knowledge that you have and have always had, that you've taken over the years, you're going to be able to use that. So you could say, whatever the next challenge is, you could say to your higher self, right, talk to me, and look in the mirror and just let the words come out as if you have a mirror image of you, obviously of yourself, that knows everything. Just trust, look in the mirror, try this at home. You get the mirror, or you just think you have the mirror if you're good at imagining. Just imagine that higher self is looking at you. It's exactly the same image as you. And you're going to present that problem to yourself. And that person inside you knows everything. Is going to come up with the answer, and you go, why didn't I think of that? That's because on a conscious level you weren't expecting to have the answer. On a subconscious level you already have it. You are your best counsellor. Some people go to their parents or their mothers, because mums generally, if you're lucky, you have a mother who can advise you or support you. People get very lost when they haven't got that person or best friend. Learn to be your own best friend. Learn to be the person that advises you. You can still ring your mate up and tell you what you're doing, you know, and discuss it. And you might want that emotional support or validation. But you need the solution from your higher self. And you need to trust that part of you. So any challenge, whether it be, I can't fly on that airline because they've closed down, or whatever happens, you know, anything at all, any challenge, get your higher self to sort it. You know, you get a punch from the car and you're, oh no, what am I going to do now? Who do I call? And then you just think, and it's not Ghostbusters. So you just think to yourself, what would I it's an interesting one to do. It's a great game to play. What would I say to me? To give me advice. Because you have all the answers. And I love playing this game because you never know what you're going to say. Out comes something, or into your mind comes an idea that you think, wow, that's easy. And then you have a relationship with yourself that helps to keep this trust going. And when you trust this energy, just in your eye area, the third eye, stays open and flowing. No more sinuses, no more bad eyes, no more sensitive eyes. It naturally shows its evidence in a physical form. You'll sleep better, less weird dreams. You won't wake up at 3:30 in the morning. You know, that kind of why am I awake feeling usually comes from the pineal hypothalamus being stimulated by the lack of energy in that area. So it's something you can work on a daily basis. Think to yourself, what is it I need to have a solution for? And work. Just give it up to that person, that part of you. Now, there's a story about, I've changed the names of these two ladies because this is, obviously I'm not going to mention their names, but two lovely old ladies I used to know. And I'm going to call one Negative Nellie and Positive Polly, okay? They did, that was so funny. They were very, very alike, with lots of reasons why they should be unhappy about their physical state and their lives, you know. But one day they go and see Negative Nellie. Negative, I must be careful not to call her a name. She had everything was wrong. You know, her perception of life was really hard. Her body was wrong, yes it was, and I understand that, but she focused on it. She focused on all those negative feelings, and all the people I knew, the carers that had to go and see her, were all drawing lots. I don't want to go see her, she brings me down. Her mood, her negativity, was not only hurting herself, it was hurting everyone around her. Nobody wanted to go and see this woman. And she was a beautiful woman inside. I didn't mind going to see her because I used to find it a challenge to make her positive. And it was okay. So I rubbed off a bit. But the thing is, she had her reasons and she had her way that she saw the world, and it had been going on for years like that. She'd learned that behaviour. So everything was automatically negative. Now, you must all know somebody that's like Negative Nellie. You must all know someone that all they do is complain because they feel in control of the world if they do. Everyone, you know, is all smiling here. You must know somebody. And so that's not healthy for themselves, for yourself, and it's not healthy for your vibe that you're giving out, because people will feel it, and it's not good for them. Now we've got Positive Polly, and she is so, so lovely. Every time you went in there to see her, the whole room would be shining with love. She oozed positive feelings, and she had so many wrong things with her body. In fact, in some ways, she was worse than Negative Nellie. But she never focused on that. Even when she got very seriously ill, by the way, both these lovely ladies are gone now, but I can guarantee that Positive Polly is definitely, she had an easier few weeks or days than the other lady, because she wasn't resisting. She was full of positivity. So all the carers used to go, oh, I'm going to see her today, and they'd be fighting over who can go and see her. And you know what? They would not want to leave her. She would make them smile, she would make them happy. She was just being herself, was full of support and kindness and all those lovely feelings, nurturing feelings. And this vibe, she trusted herself. This is the same lady, by the way. Yeah, this is a lady that was a dancer. And she was, I've just realised it's the same lady here. But she was, trusted herself. And occasionally, like I said, we had that odd moment where she couldn't jump into the arms. But she learned how to trust herself. And she did, from then on, everything she did, she started to believe in herself. And she believed in other people. And she believed that she was in a safe world. And everywhere, that all the family adored her. There wasn't a single person who didn't like this woman. And she'd go into hospital to have something done. And all the nurses, she got all the best nurses. I wonder why. The vibe she gives out. You know, if you're an angry person or a sad person, you're more likely to attract a mirror image of that. Or perception. Perception of yourself. If you're in a good place inside yourself and you trust you, and you like you, as this lovely did, as a Positive Polly did, If you trust and like who you are, you're going to trust and like other people, and you're going to see the good things in those people. You'll see the good things in everyone around you. Now that's worth doing, even if the world isn't a nice place to some people, and you've got lots of, your direction of attention is perhaps in negative areas, or you work with negative people, or you have to deal with negative people, or abusive people, or people that you're not happy dealing with. You've still got to be high and expect happy and high with your emotion. Otherwise you're going to be dragged down by them, and you're going to be having some physical feelings from that, and by the law of attraction you're going to attract more of what you don't want. And that's what we've got to change. We've got to change it. Have a think about that. Situations that you're not happy with. And then just think, how can I rise myself above it and trust it's going to be okay? The full moon is another thing, by the way, because this area that I'm talking about in this sixth chakra is governed by emotion, and a bit like the tides, you know, but the full moon definitely affects this area, our mood. And you hear this all the time, don't you, about people working in hospitals. We were talking about this last time, weren't we, mental hospitals, that are very affected, their patients are very affected by the full moon. They're sensitive souls, and they're affected, all those feelings are being amplified by the moon. So when you've got a full moon, those feelings are going to be like someone's put a stick in that pond. You know, and all those feelings are going to come to the surface. Give yourself the opportunity at that point to do something about that. Do something about it and think, okay, that feeling is not making me happy. So you're going to you're going to trust that your subconscious will find a solution to that. You've just dealt with it. You've just progressed. You've just put a filter in the pond. You just changed what you're ordering. And it's as simple as that. But the trick is to find out how are you feeling. Because that's what you're attracting more of. It's hard. I know it's hard for some people when they've got a heavy feeling they'd like to change. Give it to higher self. I want you to change this for me. I want you to give that feeling up. I want another feeling. I want to feel in control of my life. I want to feel achieved here or there. I want to feel a difference. And it's going to be positive. And expect it. So I want you to be a little bit bossy with your higher self. Because that's where the answers are. That's where your feelings can be changed. Otherwise you're a dog with a tail. There it goes again. That's that feeling again. I knew I'd get that. Of course what we're doing is we're running around in circles expecting and ordering more of the same. So this is always very good. Affirmations do help. And I've got those things saying I trust and believe in myself over there. Say it a few times in the mirror. Say it every morning. And just tell yourself you do. Because that's how you program and keep that program. When you don't trust yourself, it will feel weird. You know, I trust myself most of the time now. Because I used to be so shy. I wouldn't do any talks, I wouldn't do any singing. I couldn't sing in front of people, I can do that now. I'm not shy anymore. And I trust my higher self to do all the jobs that I think, can I? When you've got a little clue there, can I do that? There's self-doubt. That's not going to serve me. It's only going to make it hard to achieve. Or I might mess it up. And that would be self-sabotage, and that comes along when you don't believe in yourself. So instead of that, I trust and believe in myself. I trust and believe in that part of me will do it for me. Might as well push the ease button and let her do it or him do it. You know, if you think about any challenges right now you've got coming up, anything you've got to do, you think, oh, I've got that much, and it measures quite intensely. You know, it might be you're going away and you've got jobs to do, or will I get the house done in time, or anything like that. Measure it. And then give it up. Because detachment is another thing we need to learn to do. If we keep thinking of the same thing, it's definitely going to shut this one down, the third eye. It always does. But if we can detach and trust, it's like having a best mate. Oh, your best mate's going to do that job for you, and you can trust that best mate. Well, you can go and do something else now, and you let that best mate part of you do it. And automatically, subconsciously, it creates it. The idea is either in your mind, or you'll find that the situation just evolves it. Somehow it just gets better. You'll have ordered it somehow, okay? Even if it's someone coming in to help you at the right moment. It's a vibe you give out. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? I haven't sent you all to sleep yet then. I've got one of them voices, you know. So, yeah, we've got lots of things we can do. Oh yeah, crystals and colours. You know, colours really help. You know about crystals, don't you, Annie? And colours, and you've been working with them a long time. But I'm wearing indigo at the moment. It's the only indigo thing I have actually, and yet I really love the colour. When you wear the colours, the colours we're working on, when you wear certain colours, then you are actually helping your body to release the energy and flow, to breathe that energy around you, so everything inside your body works better. So if you want the little diagram here, the rainbow man here, starting with the red at the base, and the orange is on the sacral, then the yellow is on the tummy area, then the green is on the heart area, then we've got the light blue, which is the throat. Anyone got any throat problems, just get yourself a blue scarf and put it around you. You might find a lot of speakers do that, you know. And then you've got the third eye here, which is about trust, and then you've got the purple or the violet, and that is all about connection with others. So if you need to connect with other people, you need to be thinking of the colour purple, etc. You know. So when I'm going back to this third eye area, all you have to do is to wear that colour, have the crystal, tell your higher self to do it, and nothing can go wrong. It's just a question of, I mean, I've got a dark blue one I found today, just a little bag. I never wear them. I thought, oh, I'll put it on because it's dark blue day today. And you could go through all the colours that I mentioned, and you could see how you feel in each area when you wear them. How do you feel when you wear red? You might feel more courageous, you might feel more energy, but you'll definitely feel more trust if you have the indigo. You know. People I do meditations and I work on visualization, and I often use a very dark sky, a midnight sky with stars and everything. Certainly that image is enough for that third eye to open. When you look at a night sky, or a beautiful sky with a full moon, you're automatically feeding this area. You know, when I talked about the moon earlier, I said a full moon will agitate your feelings. It will. It will definitely. If it's good, it's great. You know, it's a great amplifier, like a quartz crystal inside you. The moon can change your moods very quickly, but it can also help you to identify things that need to be changed. The new moon is a great opportunity. That's no moon in the sky. You've got 8 phases of the moon, and these are my 2 favourites. The full moon. What's it going to dig up from the bottom of the pond? And the new moon, what would I like to happen? Where's my wish list? Now, I didn't look tonight to see where we are on the moon. Does anyone know where we are? I haven't actually looked, but if you have a look at it...
We're halfway.
We're halfway, okay. So that's interesting. I mean, I tend to know by my feelings as to where the moon is. You know, you can look it up. Halfway, okay. So when it's the full moon, watch how your feelings change. It'd be interesting just to take a bit more notice, like the water of the tides. You know, the moon governs the tides. Well, your body's made up of water, a huge amount of water. You're affected by the moon. You're affected by the energy. So, let it affect you and use it. Let it be a guidance as to what you need to change and what you need to order. So, full moon, recognise those feelings, measures over 5, give it to higher self. Simple as that. Then you're detached. There you go, expect it to work. And you're changing the pathway in your thoughts, your mind. So you're less likely to repeat that same action of negativity or reaction to that thing. You're going to have a positive result. New moon, write yourself a list. All the things you want in your life. You can still give it to higher self, but at least it means that you're now identifying where you'd like to change your life, but in a different way. This is a wish list. This is I haven't got it yet, but I'd like to have this list. What would you like? It's a good thing to be mindful of, not be stuck with the reality, well, I can't have this, or I've got no money to have that, or I don't know, I'm stuck with that situation at work or where I live, any restriction, any relationship I'm stuck with. People get stuck because they think they're stuck. And all they've got to do is just change that thought, that feeling. The feelings are what we really need to be addressing. That thought causes the feeling. So how do you feel? And asking yourself that every day with courage, all you have to do is give it up. Make a wish list instead. And just imagine, while you're making that wish list, you're causing your body to feel better. It feels better inside while you're doing it. It's a positive thought. And somebody said to me once, well, what happens if I don't get it? Well, while you're making the wish list, you feel good while you're doing it. You feel good inside. You feel in control. If you've actually written it down, there's an action for you there. That makes you feel naturally in control. Okay? That's worth doing it for that. Keep your wish list. And now imagine, higher self, you get that sorted for me. As well as the challenges that full moon brings up. This is a wish list that you can imagine and have hope. This is your inner child will be delighted with this because it's something to look forward to. And don't think, well, I'm only going to wish for a little bit because that's all I can have. That's all I've ever had. So I'll only go on holiday to Butlins or something. You know what I mean? It's not going to be Lanzarote. I can't afford that. So whatever you think you can't have is not relevant in a wish list. Anything can happen, but you've got to believe it to make it so. And that's not you can attract it into your life. You can feel as if you're there, and that feeling is good enough to change every cell of your body and make you feel good. And if you've ever been to a place that you really love, at the top of a mountain or in the woods, and right now, if you were to close your eyes and imagine you're right there again, and you take a deep breath and breathe that feeling into you, you would feel better physically. You'll feel better emotionally. Your brain feels clearer, not clogged with thoughts and negativity. And by the law of attraction, you're more likely to have that than anything else. And so it will be surprising how quickly things can turn around. And what you expect from people around you can change. Because you've changed. And the vibe changes. And they react differently to you. No longer do you get the same reaction that wasn't pleasing you before. So I've got a couple of things I want to ask you to do. How many were you in pairs almost? Yeah? Well, you could do it in threes there. I want you to sort of pair up. So you're one little team, you're a team, and you're a team. Okay? So I'd like you to use your intuition. This is a bit of an exercise to show you how intuition can help you. Okay? So this is a little, same image as I have over there of the chakra man and all the colours, right? So I want you, and don't be shy. Don't be shy, okay? This is really good fun. This is stretching this intuitive muscle, if you like. The more you use it, the more you'll feel you can trust it. So if I was to ask you to look at that chart here, I've got the words courage, self-worth, control, compassion, creativity, wisdom and trust. Those are just some of the words that affect those areas in a positive way. Okay? Okay, I'll put wisdom here for the third eye, but it is trust and wisdom. It's not your own knowledge, what's underneath the subconscious. So I want you to look at your daughter there and offer her one of those. So your intuition is going to say, which one does she need? So just have a quick look. And so you're going to just, without thinking about the consequences of that, you're just going to say to that person you are. Okay, so what's your result to that? Which one? So I'm going to give you all this list anyway, so you can then do it. Okay. So what is it? Trust. Trust. Yeah. So then turn to her and say, you trust yourself. You trust yourself. There you go. You do the same back. Just quickly, just scan it down quickly. Don't overthink it. And it's just using, not overthinking, it's using your intuition. Which one? Self-worth. So then tell her she has self-worth. You have self-worth. Yes, she does. Without reading them too hard, just scan them very quickly. It's your turn, Sheila. And it's, what can you give to Annie here? Courage. Right, so tell her she has courage. That's great. Courage. Tell her you have courage. Have yes, you do. And if we all say, yes, you do, Annie. Yes,
I chose the word courage.
Yeah, well, that's what you need. So, aren't you clever? You see, what you've done, actually, the fact that you're friends as well does help because you're intuitive. But you're stretching that. You could do it with a stranger. Do it after we finish the talk. Go around and just think, you need that one. And be brave enough to say it because your intuition will know. Without just scan it quickly within a few seconds. The one that...
I already knew I wanted courage.
Yeah, well, what are you going to give?
Give you courage.
You're going to give Sheila what?
Courage.
Courage again. So, okay, so both of you have got courage. That usually means the one you've gone to, like courage is the red area of your body, the main battery. That's the bit that needs work if you're doing that. Self-worth is this area, the sacral. And what was the one you gave a trust? That's this one. That one. That's this one. Well, they affect all areas actually, but trust is here, this area. Well done. So that was you stretching. We're going to come over here. What are you going to give to?
Well, it's funny because now you say that.
Yeah?
Yes, it just doesn't sound.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't really go too much. Wisdom. Is that what you're going to give? Is that for yourself? Is that for yourself? Okay, so you're giving yourself wisdom. That's just something you identify with. Brilliant. Now I want you to look at Glynis and just think, which one does she need? Scan it. Which one?
Self-worth.
Great. So that's this one here. She needs it on the sacral. And you're right. Okay, your intuition has been stretched. And yes, self-worth. So you can tell her now you have self-worth. You have self-worth. Yeah. And I'm going to say you have, what was it you chose for yourself? Wisdom. You have wisdom. Yes, there you go. You have self-worth. And what are you going to scan over and give to your key? Which one?
Control.
Okay, so we're going to say control. Control is a good word. That's for your solar plexus area, and it helps everything in your life. Helps with identity and everything. Well, let's tell him.
You have control.
Yes, you have control. Okay, you do. Yeah. So then, of course, he's got to do it to me now because I'm. Which one do I need? Just scan anyone. I can guarantee we all need something on there. Okay, which one?
Creativity.
I do, yes, absolutely. So come on, tell me I'm creative.
I'll give you creativity.
Thank you. It's lovely. It's a good one, isn't it? So that's automatically going to help me, because actually I'm writing my book now, so I did need that. I'm very creative, but I needed to trust that, you see. So what you've done is, how many times do you sort of look at someone and go, you're not yourself today, or you're feeling this, or you're feeling that. You're using this skill all the time. Without realising it, you're tuned in like little radios to each other, and you're tuning into the things that you need the most. Okay, so I've got something I'd like you to do, which is really, really lovely. I did something like this in London once when I went to like a sort of a well-being thing, like a workshop, and it was absolutely lovely, and it's very powerful. You see, when you look into the eyes of a person, you see their soul, they say, don't they? You see their soul. And you can look into the person, you can tell who's sincere and who's lying to you, can't you? I mean, most people can't look at you if they're not telling the truth, if they're not sincere. They won't hold that gaze, will they? You know, we've all had experience of people here. We're all experts at this. Well, you are. You don't know it. But your instincts are always right. So, I want you to, it can be emotional, but it's good fun. I want you to all stand up. And I want you to walk in any direction towards the next person and say something, and then walk over to the next person and the next person. And so you're just going to walk over and you're going to say, I'll show you, you trust and believe in yourself. And I'm looking straight into his eyes. You trust and believe in yourself. And you're going to go to walk over to somebody else. Go walk about to everybody. And just say it. Everyone can say this and do this all at the same time. So choose somebody. And then change partners. Just keep going round. Now, just pick someone else to say it to. Find someone else.
You trust and believe in
Say it. Find more people.
You trust and believe in yourself. You trust and believe in yourself.
Yes.
Trust and believe in
Thank
yourself.
you. So do you. You trust and believe in yourself. You trust and believe in yourself.
You trust and believe in yourself.
Make sure you say it to as many people as you can.
Believe in yourself.
Yes, you do. Yes. Make sure you've gone round everything. You've gone round everyone.
You trust and believe in yourself.
Well, keep taking on more people. Come on. Yes. You trust.
Trust and believe in yourself.
Trust and believe in yourself.
Yes, and you held that gaze. You did really well, and it feels
Trust
emotional.
and believe in yourself.
Yes, you do. So your brain is listening, your subconscious is listening, okay? It's very, very powerful. Stay stood up. What's that?
So I think I've got one lady still.
Well, keep going, keep going. Make sure you cover everybody. The bigger the group, the better it is. Trust and believe in yourself. Yes, I don't think I've done it to everybody yet either.
Believe in yourself.
What's going on? You've got everyone's covered? Yeah, everyone's done the rounds, yeah? Okay.
Trust and believe in myself.
Yes, that's what we're going to do now. You read my mind.
Yeah.
You read my mind. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do what we normally do. It's like form a circle. We're kind of enough room, okay? Okay. I'm going to make you laugh as well because you see when we, I haven't done this one for a bit. But when we release something that's no longer serving us, like stuffed out, then we are no longer affected by it, we're no longer victims to that feeling. So John Parkin is a friend of mine, and he wrote a lovely book, and it's referenced on my website, so you can always have a look at that yourself, and you probably know, some of you know what I'm going to say, you don't, so it's funny. This is going to be funny, because you're going to giggle. It is not abuse, it's release. And so what we need to do is we need to say, I trust and believe in myself, and we need to move around. So we're going off road, but we're going to make a lot of noise, okay? Ready? That's all right, that's fine. So all together, we're going to move our arms up in a minute like this, and we're going to say, I trust and believe in myself, right? So ready, start again, ready? Nice deep breath, say with me, I trust and believe in myself. On the out breath, you say, fuck it. Let's do it again, that's all right. So you're releasing, you're saying fuck it to self-doubt. And it's a really strong word, your mind is listening, and it believes you, and it just lets you release it with love. Okay, and laughter. Right, ready? I trust and believe in myself. And fuck it. Good, wonderful. Just put your hands out to the ground like sticks. You're just grounding. You're feeling safe. And give yourself a big clap now for being part of this. Well done.